All right, so I believe I have my screen shared here, and we've got importing, exporting, web scraping. So that's what we'll take a look at today. And so the first part, I'm going to just kind of go through a bunch of slides, and then we'll do a little demo of web scraping here. So I'm going to just kind of be introducing different packages that you can use as far as getting data into R. Okay, and so as far as getting data into R, I guess at this point I'm just kind of assuming your data is like formatted nicely, and then we'll talk about how to handle and wrangle data that maybe not as pretty, right? So you have your basic commands like read line, read.table, read.csv, and these are kind of your base R commands as far as getting data into into R. If you use something like read.csv, which is very common, R's default behavior is to import anything that's a string as a factor. Okay, and generally this is not the behavior that you want. So make sure you set kind of this option, strings as factors equals false, and that should kind of fix that issue. I mean, otherwise maybe you do want the string data to go in as factors if it truly is categorical data, right? So if you have a column of categorical values, then yes, you do want to use factors, but if not, then you should treat them as strings. All right, there's a bunch of packages. The first three are all part of what's called the tidyverse. So this is Hadley, Wickham, and RStudio are kind of proponents of a certain kind of thinking regarding the data, in that your data should come in tables where each row is its own observation, each column is its own variable, and that's known as they call that tidy data. All right. There are different formats for data. Data doesn't necessarily come in this rectangular format with rows and columns that behaves this way. And there are ways to kind of turn your data into tidy data, and we'll take a look at that in a future lecture. But as far as if you have data, whether it's in a CSV file or maybe an Excel file or something from a different stats program like SAS, SPSS, or Stata, then I guess it's SAS, then you can use any of these other libraries. Okay, so you've got Reader, ReadXL, and Haven, and these will allow you to import data from other file formats. Okay, there's also another library called data.table, and data.table will import very large tables quickly. You know what, hang on a second, let me just close my door here. And probably the best place to, I'll give you just the bare bones as far as using these things, but if you ever have questions about these, the best place to learn about it will be at the kind of official documentation for these libraries. These libraries are updated regularly and frequently, and so these things will have kind of the latest info there. You know what, let's take care of our first view quiz answer. First view quiz answer is the letter D, D for dog, D as in dog. First view quiz answer. And whether you're here from the 5 o'clock or 6 p.m. class, it's the same answer. Same answers for both lectures. And that's how it is for all the lectures. So if you're not able to attend one, you can attend the other. No problem. Okay. D as in dog. Okay, and so Reader, readr supports all of these things. And so I guess that's it. I'm not going to get into these, but probably, your most common data file that we kind of pass around is the comma separated file, but you've got other stuff as well. And then there's another library. This is not made by this is not part of the tidyverse. It's entirely separate, and this is the data.table package. Okay, and the data.table package has this one function called fread, and this function is designed to be as fast as possible. It's made to kind of just read through your data as quickly as possible. And so if you have a massive data file, for example, something over a gigabyte in size, I would recommend using something like fread. Okay, if you've got over if you're on the order of like 500,000 rows or more, something like data.table will get your data into R. If you use something like read.csv, it's going to take a long time to work through. Even read_CSV from the package reader will be a little bit slower. Okay, so this is just a quick comparison between read_CSV and fread. And basically, if you want the absolute best performance, use fread, whereas read_CSV is, about half as fast. Okay, and there's a few different things regarding read_CSV. I still think it's a very good all-purpose data reader, but on massively large data sets, fread will give you better performance. All right, as far as read Excel goes, this is just some very simple use cases. So one thing about Excel files is that Excel files often have multiple sheets. And so if you want to specify which sheet to be read in, you can provide that as an option to read in one particular sheet or something like that. Okay, otherwise it'll just kind of read in the first worksheet by default. This is also just a kind of a useful thing that I want to mention, and this is package downloader. Okay, so R has a native download.file function. Okay, and this will go onto the internet and just download files. And this worked great for a very long time. But then now almost all websites these days use the Hypertext Transport Protocol Secure, right? HTTPS. And so pretty much everything now, like you go open any website and you're going to get like a little lock icon over here. And if you go to a website that's not secure, so every single thing is going to have a little lock icon, then it will say not secure. And this download.file function doesn't like the secure thing, okay? And so here's this package, package downloader has this function download, and this is able to handle URLs with the HTTPS, okay? So if sometimes you need to download a file, so for example, you want to read in a data set. So this is just I have the kind of the iris data set on GitHub here. And so if you click this, it's just the CSV file right here, but this is, again, it's secure here. And normally R would struggle with that. So here you can kind of say, take this URL, download the URL, save the file as iris.csv, and then you can import it into R. Okay, or sometimes you can just provide the URL directly to read_CSV. But if you ever need to download a file, you can use this for HTTPS. All right. Okay, as far as saving files and exporting your data, there's a few options that you have. Okay, and I strongly so again, my recommendation is that when you start up R, your workspace should always be empty, and you should never save your workspace when you exit. Okay, and so if you do create files in R and you want to save those and load those up, I strongly recommend that you save them. Okay, and so you can use save, and then you give the names of the objects, and then you give the name of the file on where it's going to save. Okay, and it's going to save it as a .rdata file. And then later on, when you want to kind of use those, you can double click .rdata, and it's going to load it into your workspace. Okay, or you can start up R, and then you can open up the .rdata file, and it will load it into your workspace. Okay, sometimes you want to save objects. So the plain one, the simplest is write. Okay, and so if you have something like an atomic vector, or just some kind of file, or some kind of object like a matrix or something, you can just write x file.txt, and it's going to kind of just save the thing. Okay, so I can just do kind of a quick demo here. Let me see. So we'll set to source. Let me make my screen a little bit larger. Okay. All right. So let's say I'm going to just sample 100 values here. Okay. So here's x. And what I want to do is I'm going to just write x, and we're going to say file is equal to random100.txt. So I can do this, and then let me just show you what how it appears. Random100.txt shows up, and it kind of just by default, it creates 5 columns here. And so you can say, you know what, I don't want that. And so you can say columns equal 1. Whoops, it's not. What is it? Oh, n columns equals 1. This will just export that. Let's see. All right, and then so here is the data 56, 21, 32, 80, so on and so forth, and it just shows up here. So that would save your atomic vector. Other things, if you want to save like a matrix or a data, there we go, data frame or something. Okay, so save your data frame as df.csv. You can use write.csv, and then you can also specify whether you want to keep or delete your row names. All right, so those are just simple things. Okay. There's another important package that I strongly recommend. This is part of the tidyverse as well. It's called lubridate, and this is going to handle kind of any kind of date and time values in R, because R's general way of handling dates and times is very tedious. And so I have some very simple examples. So if you want to say, here's the date, January 15th, 1999, you can say as date, and you have to say, all right, and you have to give it, you have to look up %B, %D, comma, %Y, and it needs to be, it needs to match this, where %B means we're looking for the full name in English, %D for the date, and then the comma and the space and all of this. And if you get anything wrong, okay, like for example, here I'm missing a comma, it's going to error out. It's going to error out to NA, right? And here, I need to have the dashes, and then it will import. It'll recognize this as a date, okay? But if I leave out the dashes, it produces an NA. It doesn't know how to handle that, okay? And this is especially problematic if you have like some kind of form and you're collecting people's date values, because different people type dates in different ways. Some people will write 12/15/2001. Some people will put spaces. Some people will put dashes, and you're gonna get different values at different formats here, and it's very tedious. Okay. These are just some more examples, right? So here I've got kind of a mix here, and these are all in month, day, year, but they've written it different ways. And so here, if I do, if I specify this, it can get the first one, but it won't get the other two. I can specify it like this, and it'll get the middle one, because I put the dashes there, but it won't get the other ones. Here I can put the slash in here, and it will understand this, the last one, but it won't get the other ones, right? I wonder if I hit anybody's birthday here, just by random chance. And so lubridate just makes this easy, right? So you could imagine having a vector of dates in different formats, and lubridate will, you just say, hey, you know what? I've got a vector of strings with dates, okay? And you know what? This was America, and so people type their dates in month, day, year, right? If you're in Europe, you would say day, month, year, and things like that. But in the US, we say month, day, year, and then and despite them being in different formats, lubridate recognizes them and parses them all as dates, okay? Which is great, okay? Because working with this and having to make individual date formats for something like this, this is very tedious and painful, and you end up hating hating stuff like this, okay? This makes your life just way easier. So if you're ever dealing with dates, strongly recommend lubridate. Okay, and then here, you do have to specify year, month, whether it's year, month, day, year, or day, month, year, because here's an ambiguous date, and it's hard to know what this represents. And so depending on how you specify year, month, day, or day, month, year, or something like that, you know, you're going to get different values. Okay, and here, if you do something like this, month, day, year, and you say, like, this would have been Christmas 1999. This is like the only thing that would have made sense, okay? But if you say this is month, it's going to say there's no 25th month, and it gives you an NA there. Okay. But other than that, this package is awesome. All right, and then the last thing that I want to show you guys today is going to be the rvest package. Okay, before we get into that, let me give you your second quiz answer. Second quiz answer. This is week 3, and it's already Wednesday. Is going to be A as in apple. A as in apple. Okay, A as in apple for your second quiz answer. All right, and I'll give you your last one later. Okay, so rvest is going to perform web scraping. Okay, it's going to go and you can go on the internet and scrape data to, I don't know, collect some information here. Okay, and so rvest is used in conjunction with something called the Selector Gadget. Okay, and so if you go on the internet and you type in Selector Gadget, or you just click my link, or not my link, click this link here, and it will take you to, not the Reddit front page, but the Selector Gadget. You want to go to this one, selectorgadget.com. Okay. I guess you can also try the Chrome extension. I have not done that. But basically, you're going to just take this, and this thing's been around since 2013, and it hasn't needed to be updated. It works great. Okay. All you do is you just click this thing, drag this link up to your bookmarks bar, right? So you put it up here. I already have it up here in my Selector Gadget, and it's just a little piece of kind of JavaScript code, and I'll show you how to use it. Okay, but basically, you're going to drag this up to your browser bar, and then you can use it on a website, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, so that's the Selector Gadget. All right, and you can also type in vignette Selector Gadget, and there's a little demo in R, in the R help. This is the Selector Gadget vignette that will show up when you type in vignette Selector Gadget, and it's a little help. And I'm going to basically just kind of walk through this this help here in a moment. Okay. So one thing is that rvest works very well for fairly static web pages that are defined with HTML tags and CSS. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever made a web page, or if you ever had to kind of did anything with web pages and stuff. But a lot of web pages are done with HTML and CSS. Now, a lot of modern web pages these days use JavaScript to kind of continuously generate content. And this is what powers kind of infinite scroll on all of your, like the addictive websites, like Facebook and Reddit and, you know, all of these things, and Instagram. You can just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling forever. And so a lot of that content is generated by JavaScript, and rvest doesn't work as well there, which is a little bit unfortunate, okay? And it also does not work well if it's a site where you have to be logged in to view content. So actually Facebook, you got to kind of log in to view anything significant generally. You know, a lot of these kind of networking sites, you have to do that. And so these are some of the limitations of rvest. But if it's kind of like a web page where things are a little bit more static, rvest is going to work better there. Okay. So the way HTML and CSS works, so this is just kind of a quick look at on Reddit. The way it works is that, you know, you have these different entries, and the formatting on each of these things is held consistently by using a CSS tag. Okay, so web pages are written in kind of a markup language, and then you apply formatting using CSS tags. Okay, and a lot of times a designer will use the same CSS tag for different kind of classes in order to kind of specify how those classes should be displayed on the web page. So for example, on this web page here, you know, you might look at take a look at the underlying HTML, and basically any web page that you open up, you can always kind of right click it and you can click view page source, and it's going to be just this huge mess of just all of this gibberish and stuff that's hard to kind of parse and get through. But actually, this is not a good example. Let me go to old Reddit. Okay, and you can kind of click view page source, and oh, this is even worse. Okay, so they wrote it all on one line here. Are we serious? Okay, but if you kind of format it to be a little bit more readable, it might look something like this. All right, so this is just like a very simplified view here, and so, you know, something like every time you see a comment, it's going to be labeled class comments. Anytime you see the share button, it might say the class is the share button, or class is the save button, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is just kind of a simplified thing, and you can kind of identify the tags accordingly here. Okay. Yes, indeed. I like old Reddit, but that's all right. So so anyway, the way the Selector Gadget works is it's going to kind of, you click a thing, an item on the web page, and it's going to identify the CSS tags. And you go to the site and you click on the thing that you want, and everything with the same tag is going to get highlighted in yellow. And it kind of starts off with just like the most generic tag. So if you click a link and with the Selector Gadget, it's, you know, all links are will have an anchor tag. And so if you click that, it's going to highlight everything with an anchor tag, which is going to be like almost the entire web page, because anything with a link is going to have an anchor. And you might say, well, you know, I only want certain links. I only want the links that correspond to this. And then so you're going to click something that got highlighted in yellow, and you click that, and it's going to look up the tags there, and it's going to unselect those ones. Okay. And so so let me just kind of show you an example here. So if I go to, let's see, where did my web page for old Reddit go? Okay, so here's old Reddit. And what I can do is I can click Selector Gadget, and that's going to load this up here. And so let's say we want to get all the headlines here, okay? So this one says, today I learned people who quit smoking before age blah, blah, blah. Okay, Biden revokes presidential permit, Biden signs federal mask mandate, all of this stuff, right? So let's say we click this and it selects a whole bunch of other stuff, all right? So somehow it's selecting some of these things, but not other things. So maybe I kind of just click another thing and I want these, but now it's selecting too much. It's selecting too much. It's selecting, I want all the headlines, but I don't want the number of comments. I don't want the username. So I'm going to select something I don't want that's currently yellow, like the comments, and I'm going to click that. And so now it's selecting a whole bunch of stuff. I don't, maybe this is fine. Dot title will select kind of the entire row there. Oh, you know what? I don't want these titles. So I'm going to click that. And you know what? We don't want the advertisement, so we'll click that. Okay. And I don't want this thing. Okay. No, I'm having a little bit of trouble getting exactly what I want. Okay, well, maybe I thought I had something better earlier, but okay. But basically, you click the selector gadget and you basically select the things that you want. All right, so here, if I want the comments, but I don't want this stuff, I can do this. And dot comments will highlight all of the comments here. Okay, and then later on, I'll show you how to use rvest. But you're going to say, you know, I want you tell rvest, you use this function called read HTML, and you say, I want you to read the web page, oldreddit.com, and then extract out all of the nodes with this particular tag. So we're going to extract out all the nodes with the .comments node, okay? And so that's going to go through the website and pick out, basically identify all of these things with comments, and it just extracts all of those things. All right, so we're going to say identify all of the comments, and from those nodes pull out the text. And when you do that, you get the comment counts, and here you have all of these numbers. And then if you wanted to do some kind of analysis here, you can do that, right? Later on, I'll show you how to, in a future lecture, we'll look at regular expressions, and we'll look at extracting out the numbers so we can get rid of the comments and things like that. Does that kind of make sense how this is working? We'll do a couple of demos here. Okay, and so so later, yeah, with regular expressions, you can say, you know what, I just want the numbers that show up. So here I got 3394, 497, 345, and when we do that, we can say I just want the digits, and we get the digits, and now we have this numeric vector after I plug it in here. And then you can look at, then you can do some kind of quick analysis and see, you know, what's the distribution of comments on the front page posts and things like that. Or if you go to one particular subreddit, you can say, what's the distribution of comments here, and what's the relationship between comments and the age of the post, and whatever, you know, things like that. You can do those kinds of analysis. Okay. It's hard when you use the CSS selector. So I did this just a few minutes before lecture started today, and so this was kind of the front page of Reddit at the time, and it was, you know, it's about President Biden, and you know, kind of his first actions, and then this one is, you know, what was your favorite book, and then, you know, all sorts of different stuff, right? And so you know, when you click this Selector Gadget is able to identify a CSS selector, but it looks like this, okay? This is like this kind of non-intelligible CSS selector. It's not meant for humans to be read, but it's kind of meant for computers to be read, for computers to read it. And it might change up in the future, right? And so something like this might not work, and that's because this regular page is the version of Reddit that has the infinite scroll, okay? So as you keep scrolling, it's going to keep just generating more and more stuff for you to look at, just to kind of keep you on the on their web page forever, right? That's their plan. And so so that's what we have going on here. So this will work. It might not work forever, okay? Whereas if you have a little bit more of a page with a slightly more static design, such as old Reddit here, then you can select the nodes. And this was the node that I ended up selecting, .title.may blank, I guess. And these were kind of the some of the titles that it extracted here, okay? And maybe this was a little bit different, but these were the titles on the front page at the time when the script ran, okay? And so, you know, you might have to play around with different web pages. You might have to try to see if there's an alternate version and things like that. And depending on the site, they may even have an API. And if you have an API, don't bother with rvest. But if you need to kind of just scrape some information off of a web page, then rvest can often do what it is you're trying to achieve. There are different options for scraping things. Okay, so if you do want to work with a page that's kind of generated by JavaScript, there's something called Selenium. There's the Selenium browser, and it has a steeper learning curve, but it works with R. There's other options for web scraping. A lot of them are based around Python. And so Python has a few things, Beautiful Soup, Scrapey, and the Selenium browser for Python as well. And so these are all just different options as far as scraping websites that have data here, okay? All right, so I thought I would give you a short demo on using rvest here. And we're going to take a look. Let me just clear everything out here. All right. We're going to take a look at this web page, the Lego Movie web page, okay, which I think I've got loaded up here as well. Not here, over here. Let's go ahead and close that. Okay, so here's the Lego Movie. I can't believe it's already 7 years old for the Lego Movie. I'm a big fan. I got these cups for the Lego Batman movie from McDonald's when they had a promo, and they're just good cups too. So, but anyway, that's beside the point. So if you haven't seen the Lego Movie, I don't know. Well, anyway, you're missing out. Okay, so there's the Lego Movie, and basically, here's the web page, and we're gonna say load up. Take the web page and read the HTML in here, the Lego Movie, right? Lego Batman is an underrated Batman film. It's it is a great Batman film indeed. Okay, right up there with the Chris Nolan films. So, oops, what did I do? Okay, so we're gonna read in. Oh, we got to load up the libraries. So let's load up rvest, load up Stringer, which is for text manipulation, and then let's load up read in the HTML. And it takes a moment, and it's going to load it up here. And if you just say, well, what does this thing look like? It looks like this. It's like unintelligible. If you say, well, what's the structure of this thing? Okay, it doesn't look like anything we recognize. All right, it says, okay, we've got node and duck, and we don't quite know what it says. Okay, we don't have to worry about the structure of this. This is kind of how rvest handles it. Okay, now what we want to do is, let's say we want to pull out some information from the web page, right? So here is here's the web page, and so I'm going to use the Selector Gadget, and let's say I want to extract out this movie rating here, this 7.7. So I'm going to click Selector Gadget, and I'm going to just highlight over the 7.7, that's the thing I want. So I click it and it highlights everything else with a similar tag. And I say, well, this is all this, I don't want this, right? So I select something yellow that I don't want, okay? And I click that, okay? And so now I get this, and it says 7.7. It looks like the 10 is also selected, so I don't want that, so I'm gonna click that. And it looks like, okay, just to select this 7.7, the tag I'm going to use is strong space span, okay? So, so with the selector gadget, I just kind of select strong span. I click copy on my keyboard, Control C, and I come over here, and then I'm going to say, I want to extract this out using strong span, okay? And so what I've written here, I'm not sure if you're familiar with dplyr pipes, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to take the Lego movie, and on my keyboard I can hit Control-Shift-M, and it puts in this symbol here, which is this percent arrow percent, or percent greater than percent, and it's a pipe, okay? And what it does is it says take the contents of Lego movie and put it into this next function called HTML nodes. And inside HTML nodes is going to take that web page and it's going to search for anything in the HTML code that has this tag strong span. Okay, and there's only one item in the web page that has the tag strong span, and that's this 7.7 value. All right, and then from there, what we want to do is we want to, so I can just show you what happens if I do Lego movie and strong span, HTML node strong span. It pulls out the entire HTML tag. Okay. Now what we want is we just want the text, this 7.7 value, which is in between the tags. Okay, it's in between the tags. So I'm going to take this contents and I'm going to pipe it. Okay, I'm going to pipe it into the function HTML text. And so this is going to extract out the text that appears here. So if I run that, it takes Lego movie, runs it through the HTML nodes, pulls out the HTML text, and it returns 7.7. Okay, but it's now a text string. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this text string 7.7 and put it inside this function as numeric, right? Because if I did as.numeric 7.7, it's going to turn it into 7.7, and that's effectively what I want to do. But we're going to just say take the result of this thing and then pipe it into this function right here. All right, and then so the result of this is going to be 7.7 as a numeric value. And then what we do is then we just take that result, and it seems a little strange because the pipe has been kind of moving forward, but we're going to say take that entire thing and then assign it. So the way R is going to evaluate it is going to evaluate all of this on this side first. It's going to get the number 7.7, and then it's going to assign it to the rating. So if I run this, it's done, and we can see rating 7.7 in the environment is right there. Is that okay? All right, so here is a, you can also get multiple values, okay? You can get multiple values, not just one. So if I go to the Lego movie and I click Selector Gadget, we can say, you know what, I want to extract out the cast, okay? So inside Lego movie, we've got Will Arnett was the voice of Batman. And so if I click that, okay, it selects everything with an anchor, and it selects 586 values here, okay? And that's way too much. We don't want all of this. So we're going to say, okay, you know what? I don't want this thing. I do want Elizabeth Banks selected, okay, but I don't want Batman selected. Okay, and so by kind of selecting these things, it looks like I've selected these names in yellow, which looks good. Okay, and if I kind of just scroll up and down the rest of the web page, it doesn't look like I've selected anything else. It also says you've selected a total of 15 items, and that looks about right. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this, and we're going to use that to identify the tag. Okay. We have a question, and the question is, what is this percent greater than percent? Okay, this is the pipe. The pipe says take the what the last function produced and put it in as basically the first argument of the next function, right? So sometimes you do a function and, let's say you take, I don't know, 8, and you want to take the square root of 8, and then you want to put the square root of 8 into another function. So what you can do is you can say 8 gets piped into the square root function, and that gets piped into, whatever next function you have. So it just says take the last result and use the last result and put it in as basically the first argument of the next function you're going to use. Okay, so anyway, this was the, I think this is the tag. Did I get something different? Okay, well, basically, this is the tag that I'm going to use for selecting out these things. All right, so on Selector Gadget, how did you select in green versus in red and yellow? Okay, so again, on Selector Gadget, what you do is you first have to drag, you point and click, drag this to your bookmarks bar, and then that's going to add this little link. And then while you're on the page you like, you click the Selector Gadget button, and then the thing you want to select, when you click it, the thing you want to select will turn green. Okay, so I click Will Arnett's name, it turns green. It's going to highlight a whole bunch of other stuff in yellow, and that means it's going to, if I select tags using the A tag, it's going to select 587 things. Okay, that's way too many things. I don't want all that. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say, this is something I don't want. Okay, this is something in yellow and I don't want it. So I click that. Oh, that was simple. And and so now everything in yellow will get selected. And then this was an example of something I don't want selected. And then using that, Selector Gadget says, okay, well, this fits the bill. This is going to be a set of tags that you can use to extract out everything in green and yellow. All right. So if I put that in here for HTML nodes, the same here. Okay. And this will select, there's 15 things. So I'm going to take the Lego Movie HTML. I'm going to pipe it into the HTML nodes function with this argument. And it's going to pull out all of those tags, all the tags that have this, this tag associated with it. And we're going to say, I want to extract out the text here. Okay. And so when I do that, I get the text: Will Arnett, Elizabeth Banks, Craig Berry, Allison Brie, David Burrows, so on and so forth. Okay. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to just assign that to the object cast. Say, all right, so here's what we have for cast. And then, we have a leading space and a trailing new line character. And so to do that, I'm going to use, this is Stringer, and we haven't learned Stringer yet. I'll cover that later. But you can do what's called trimming the white space, and it's going to remove any kind of leading spaces and trailing spaces, including new line characters. So I do that, and I go ahead and get that. And this pulls out the names of the cast members from the web page. Okay, so I can extract out the cast names, right? Because if you wanted to get data before, you'd have to you'd highlight this and you would copy it, and what would you do? You'd open up Excel and you'd paste it in there, and then try to you'd paste it in here, and then you go, oh gosh, I got to get rid of this column and then this column, and now there's pictures I've got to deal with, and they're hot links. This is a pain just to get. So we don't want to actually do that. Okay. All right. So is that all right? We have a question that says, does the pipe automatically put the left side into the first argument and the right of the function? Yes, that is the default behavior of the pipe. And there are ways to, so the pipe is R package greeter, okay? And this will have the overview of how the pipe works, okay? Magritter. This is based on, this is not a pipe. This was the image, the treachery of images. by René Magritte. But anyway, that's where the name, the pipe comes from. Okay, or the name of the package comes from. All right, there's other things you can do. So for example, here I pulled out the tag for getting the review. So on the Lego Movie webpage, they gave it an 8-star review, and it says a fun film that made me a kid. Okay, all right, yes, all right, and here you can get the text of the review and stuff like that. Okay, so it can extract all of that things. Okay, I've got a few minutes left. You can also pull out other things. So you can pull things out based on attributes. So for example, images are stored in the source attribute, and you can pull these things out. And so the poster of the HTML, there's a few links, and you can get kind of the links of those things, so that, you know, if I type this in, this will be the Lego Movie poster, and that's basically what's being used here. Okay. The coolest thing about rvest, however, is that you can create your own kind of little automated browser that not just goes on one web page, but can follow links to other web pages and pull all the information you want. Okay, so the key difference here is you're going to start an HTML session. Over here, I said read HTML, and that's just for one web page, reading the HTML. But here I'm going to say start a session, and this is going to start a session, and that's going to basically create like a little browser, a browser window that you can't really see inside here, but it's creating an HTML session. Okay. Question was, you know, I thought the pipe was already part of dplyr. Yes, dplyr makes uses of the pipe. The Magritte package is part of the tidyverse, and basically if you load up dplyr, it's going to load up supporting packages, including the pipe. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, create a session, and from the session you can say follow a link. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to say follow the link that has the text Will Arnett. Now, if there's multiple links on the page that have the same text Will Arnett, it's going to just follow the first link. Okay, but here we're going to say follow the page that says the link that says Will Arnett, and that's going to go to Will Arnett's IMDb page. And from Will Arnett's IMDb page, let's say we want to extract out his filmography, kind of the movies that he's working on, right? So we go to use Selector Gadget, and we say, well, how do we select that? And we're going to say, okay, we want the titles, but we don't want these other things. I do want this, and this looks like it's selected the correct things that we want. All right, so we're going to select using the tags BA. Okay. All right, and then let's say we also want the year that that he's working on it. So we're going to select the years, and that also seems to work. We're going to select just the year column, and that selects the things. Okay, so we're going to say take this session, because if I just say what session, S is a current session, and we're going to say follow the link. Okay, follow the link to Will Arnett, and this will take me to basically another web page. All right, and it navigates to this thing, and it says, oh yeah, okay, that worked. And we're going to say read that page, and we're going to store the results into the Will page. Okay, so if I do that, now I've got the Will page, and now I'm on Will Arnett's page, and we're going to say, all right, pull out, let's say the top 10, or kind of the first 10 things that show up in his filmography. Okay, the Lego Batman Movie 2. Oh, I got to mark my calendars for that. And then we got First Team. I don't know what that is. BoJack Horseman. I do love that show also. So, you know, I do this, and we say, all right, extract out the text and give me the first 10, and it gives me kind of the 10 movies here. Emmett's Holiday Party, a Lego Movie short. Oh, I got to check this out. Okay. But anyway, so we have this, and we pull out all of these things. Okay. We can also say, you know what? Let's pull out the associated years. Okay, and these are kind of the years. And then, you know, now that you have these two things, you know, you can kind of like bind them together to make a matrix or something. All right. And so I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm sorry, I'm like a minute over my time here, but I'm going to just create an empty list. And what I'm going to do is, remember earlier I had the cast and we got Will Arnett, Elizabeth Banks, Craig Berry, Allison Brie, so on and so forth. Let's just go, we're going to, using my current session, which is currently open to the Lego Movies webpage, we're going to say follow each of these links. We're going to say first go to Will Arnett's page, extract out the titles, extract out the years, and then you know what, save them into this empty list. Okay. And then we're going to say once that's done, go on to the next actor name in this cast, which will be Elizabeth Banks. Go to Elizabeth Banks' page, extract out the names of the movies that they're working on in the filmography, extract out the years, so on and so forth. Type all of those things in and store those in the cast movies. Go to Craig Berry's page, do the same thing. Go to Allison Brie's page, do the same thing. And just for this demo, I'm going to just do the first 4. But basically, I've built a loop to kind of go through each of these things. And I'm going to go ahead and just let it run here. Okay. And so it does it, and it's working quickly. And so now if I look at this list I've created, it's got basically all of the information we have. We have Will Arnett, and got the kind of the top 10 things in his filmography, and here's the year. Here's Elizabeth Banks, and these are different the different films that she's being on, and the years. Craig Berry, Allison Brie, so on and so forth. Okay, and right now this is a list. It's a list of 4 different data frames, and so what I can do is I'm going to just take the first one and take Will Arnett's thing, and we're just going to extract out that first element. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go for elements 2 through 4, take out that thing, and I'm just going to bind the rows. It's not the most efficient way, but it gets the job done. And then so now I have this nice big data frame. Let's make this a little bit wider. It's a you know, nice big data frame with basically each of these movie actors and the movies that they worked on and their filmography and stuff like that. Okay, and so this is I think a really cool thing, that it's this automated browser that rvest has set up and is able to kind of go through and extract out the contents that you want. Okay, I apologize for going a few minutes over. Let me give you your last quiz answer. Last quiz answer for today is B as in bear. B as in bear is your last quiz answer. All right, and that is that's it for today. Okay, so we'll end there. I've posted the code that I've run for this demo, so you can kind of play around with it. I encourage you to play around with it. Try extracting out information, try messing around with it. It's a lot of fun, okay? Or at least I think so. So we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys on Friday. Have a good evening.
Hey, Professor, I have a quick question.
All right.